into the party wagon and hold on to your pizza. Welcome back, everybody, to Epic Tales from the Sewers. I am your host, Justin. Eric's not with us tonight, but I do have some special guests with us, and they are from a new podcast called Beyond the Cape Podcast. And you can find them wherever you find your great podcast. I found them on iTunes and Spotify, I believe. So today we have our Marvel expert, Mr. Alex.
Hi, everybody. Good to be here. Thank you for the invite, Justin. And I'm looking forward to tonight's episode.
All right. And we have Ryan, who is our DC expert.
How's it going? Thanks for the invite. Can't wait for the show.
And we have our general comics expert all around, good guy, Alejandro.
Hi, everyone. Glad to be here, Justin, and can't wait to get into some good conversation.
All right. So I premise that this is a Ninja Turtles podcast, but since you guys have a comic book podcast, I was hoping to kind of like get you on and be like, hey, maybe you should talk about Turtles a little bit more, and I wanted to get in there early. I know you get a couple episodes out, and I got to listen to a couple, and I mentioned before we started recording things. Your first episode was about villains, and nobody mentioned the Shredder.
That's because I wasn't there.
Okay,
I would have
that would make sense.
Would have made the list. I would have made sure at least the top 5. But
as much as I like Shredder, I think Krang would be a little bit above there for me.
Krang's a good one too, but I will tell you this. The interesting thing I thought about your top tier level villain structure was that like they can't die, and they're kind of like driven by more than maybe just revenge. And I'm like, well, Shredder came back from hell. Like he died and they cut off his head and he came back and now he's a kind of a forced ghost thing. So I'm like, he kind of fits that, but he's definitely, he's gone through some changes. Because I know you guys probably haven't read 132 issues of the IDW Turtle series, but it's like he's getting up there and now he's kind of a good guy. So, but it's interesting.
I can see that from the last Ronin.
Yeah.
Kind of a lot. Where especially Super Shredder and a lot of the references there. I could see where he's getting up there. We'll have to revisit it.
I would have thought, the biggest villain for the Turtles would be burnt pizza. I mean, you have burnt pizza.
Or pizza that burns the roof of your mouth, right?
Yes, right. It's like it's going to be all hell's going to break loose. If they have a pizza they were looking forward to, and then it's just completely burnt. The sauces taste good. I mean, like for me, I always have a bad time when we have bad pizza. So I would have thought that would be their villain.
I did have a guest on who did a cookbook. Shout out to Kirk from Kirk Cooks, who did a cookbook of all the terrible Ninja Turtles pizzas from the '87 cartoon. And I mean, he had like Yak's cheese and something. It's like, oh my God. I'm like, how did you even get that? He's like, yeah, I had to use it from like a dog treat that was made from Yak's cheese. I'm like, that's disgusting.
Oh,
he's like bubble gum and liver. I'm like, oh, so I don't know if they'll eat that. Maybe they're the villains,
right?
This is a strong opinion. Yes, 100%. That was a bad pizza.
Oh yeah. I think he said that was the worst one, was the bubble gum and liver. But ugh.
I'm just thinking about that right now. My stomach's not feeling too well.
Yeah, no, that's not.
Yeah, I might have to pause this, Justin.
We'll edit that out.
Yeah.
So, gentlemen, tell me about the podcast. How'd you guys get started? Where's the impetus for this? What was your idea for Beyond the Cape?
Me and Alex, for a long time, had talked about getting a podcast, and we started way back. I don't know, by like 2009, 2010.
Something like that, yeah.
Definitely the mainframe was not set up to set up like an RSS, and we were like, all right, well, it's really complicated to get into this. Let's just do it on YouTube, transfer audio from Audacity to YouTube, and we'll do it this way. And then we're like, oh man, this is really hard to promote.
Yeah. Yes.
And we were still in school. I was still in my surgical tech training. Alex was still working. It got complicated. So we're like, all right, you know what? Let's put a pen in this and let's come back. And then just a couple months ago, Alex is like, you know what? We really need to get this podcast started. We waited way too long.
Yeah.
And like I said, we talked about this before a little bit off before the show. Our biggest thing is just we want to have a conversation, introduce people to some new ideas, new comics, and just kind of put down the veil of people that like to gatekeep or there's just so much hate for the comic books, and just enjoy what we can now all share with comic book heroes being so for everyone at this point, especially with the Marvel universe that kind of really kickstarted that.
Yeah, I mean, since 2009, when you guys were thinking about this, that's when the first Iron Man movie came out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's that was the year we went to the first C2E2 when Marvel and DC actually showed up. Kevin
Yes.
showed up, didn't he?
No, Kevin
Feige?
Smith.
Yeah, wasn't it him who you gave your
No,
resume
Joe
to?
Quesada.
Joe
Joe,
Quesada.
Joe
Okay,
Quesada.
well,
I had
Joe Quesada is still a pretty
He was here last year too, but he's not in charge anymore.
yeah.
I had the gonads to go up to Joe Quesada and hand him my resume and
Hey,
be like, "Can you please hire me?" Like,
hey, every shot.
oh my
Yeah,
god.
you got to take your shot. I mean,
Yeah,
you never
I
know.
did,
Could
but
have
he's the
been.
nicest guy you will ever meet, though. So I got to meet him twice on the same day, shake his hand, and get a picture with him.
Wow.
So, and overall, I think it was pretty amazing.
That
So,
was a crazy first C2E2. Like I said, Marvel
oh
and
my
DC.
god,
They had
yeah,
the original props from the first Iron Man there. That was
Oh
and
insane.
wow.
and Captain America, right? It was no, it
Yeah.
was Iron Man, and then
Right.
the following year it was Captain America when the first Avenger. I just don't remember. Maybe it's the third or fourth year of C2E2. Either way, it just
Wow.
got bigger and bigger
Oh, it's
and
crazy how
bigger.
small the first C2E2 was.
Yeah, yeah,
Was in one of the exhibit halls. It wasn't even like the main floor where it is now
Oh,
with
it's
the
right.
so
panel.
big. It's like I remember the one prior to COVID was the largest amount of people I had seen in one place ever.
Yes,
It was
we
just like
went.
a sea of people.
We were there,
Yes.
and I was like, "Oh man, this is a little nerve wracking." Because I think we were talking about, I'm like, some things are going down at work. I think
Yeah.
we're gonna get shut down pretty quickly.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and then here I am shaking hands with Jim Lee. You know, It's like, okay, that was fun. Yeah, that was a good one. But I think that was like my second one because I hadn't gone to a bunch because I'm originally from Connecticut and we have
Okay.
just Terrificon out there. That only started in like 2015, so it was like you didn't get a lot of stuff out there unless you went to New York Comic Con or anything. So
You know what? C2E2 has the flag of never missing a single year since they've opened. Like after like it was February, I remember it was like February of 2020 when C2E2 came, and then March everything shut down.
mhm.
Yeah.
So and then and then when stuff started opening again, C2E2 was there. Like there, it was like the end of 2021 too, December. That was the last time me and Ryan went to C2E2,
Yeah, and then I
and
went the following 2 years because I
mhm,
now I need time off work, so I just rent out the whole weekend and stay there.
yeah,
It's crazy how it's changed so much.
yeah, oh yeah, yeah,
I mean, you met Alex Ross and Stan Lee,
yeah.
Yeah.
Alex Ross, Stan Lee.
Wow.
Geoff Johns.
I happened to meet
I stood next to Jeff Johns at like a kiosk and I was like, hey, it's just so weird. I'm like, thanks for Booster Gold, man. Yeah.
You
I'm
did-
like, I love
the
that
Jeff
series.
Johns.
Yeah.
who was that actor who played Darth Maul? Ray Park.
Oh, Ray Park.
Ray
Yeah.
Park. I
Yeah,
didn't
Ray
even like.
Park.
I just met him passing. It wasn't even like I was in line. I was in line to meet Alex Ross, and I just yelled his name, Ray Park, and he
Oh,
turned
wow.
around, and I'm like, "Can I get a picture?" He's like, "Sure." And
Wow.
and yeah, I mean that was a great first year.
Yes,
I'm
the
jealous because I had Henry Winkler like that, but I was like, I love you, and he's like, and I love you, and I'm like, all
Aw.
right, it's cool.
Yeah, Jason David Frank. That's how I met him casually. I'm looking
Oh.
at comics, and he's just like, "Yeah, this one's pretty cool." I was like, "Are you the Green Ranger?"
They're like, you played Bloodshot recently in the Valiant universe.
Yes,
I'm like,
oh,
oh, thanks,
okay.
man. Yeah. Guys, I love Valiant. That's one of
Valiant.
those things. It's a love-hate relationship because Valiant hates to put out books. So, yeah,
Yes.
but I love them. So, but that's what I was going to ask too. So, you guys got started. C2E2, you're all jazzed up. You're going to go. How did Alejandro figure into this equation here?
Well, Alejandro, I met Alejandro through my wife actually. They went to law school together, and he's a year below her, and so my wife was having an event with her other law school students, and she introduced me to him. We talked, we joked around, and then I went to E2, and he ended up showing up there with another friend of his from college. I mean, we didn't even know like we were meeting up. We just were like texting. I saw him on Facebook or something, or just happened to like run into him, and then ever since then we just stayed connected, and we just been chatting. And he met Ryan, and we just been geeking out ever since. So
That's awesome.
yeah.
What do you guys geek out about when you get together?
Oh
God.
man, where do
Usually
we
it's
even
the
begin?
movies. We,
Yes.
we go to, we try to see them once they first come out. Obviously it's been a little hard now with everyone living apart, but I know one of the things that we enjoy just going to the movies and seeing the new releases, and then just hashing out all the action and CGI and everything that was put into the work of that.
Just kind of breaking down everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
been a hell of a year too. Like we've had Guardians of the Galaxy 3, we've had the was it Across the Spider-Verse or is this Beyond? I forget which one this is.
Across.
I just saw it again yesterday. I've
Yes.
seen that twice, and then we had the Flash come out.
Yes.
So I mean, this is a huge year, and I mean, I feel like we've been kind of starved for it. After getting like Black Widow and Eternals, and it's like, all right, I saw them both on the big screen, and it's like it's okay to see a movie, and it's all right, but those were like clearly some of my least favorites, and I'm not an Ant-Man guy, guys, so I like my least favorite out of all the Marvel movies, like before all like the Eternals came out, was definitely Ant-Man and Wasp. So I'm about halfway through Quantumania now, and I'm like, all right, it's better than Ant-Man and the Wasp.
I can agree with that.
Yeah.
I mean, it was I would agree with all Marvel movies. Ant-Man is definitely on the bottom, but
I think it
Ant-Man
depends on the context. The first Ant-Man was nice. I think they did a great job with
it's
the
not
Ant-Man.
terrible.
But Quantumania, I think me and Alex talked about it on the last episode. You have Kang the Conqueror, who's finally front and center as one of the better villains in the Marvel database, and you put him in a comedy. I feel like they could have done more. So I'm hoping maybe that we'll get to see a little bit more in the next films, especially Loki season 2. But
yeah,
the Ant-Man
he who should
Quantumania
not be named, or he with no name. Yeah, Loki was great. I think Loki's awesome. I love She-Hulk. I liked Hawkeye, and I know a lot of people were kind of like down on that one, but I
like
didn't
Hawkeye
get
too.
I didn't get Moon Knight. It just didn't hit for me, and I'm just like, meh.
I don't think I liked it until like the last 3 episodes. I was like, all right, this is getting better. So we'll see what how the next season goes.
My wife loved it. She's like, oh my god, this show is so good, and I'm like, is it though?
I think it was just a slow start. We're getting into this character, and we find out he has one personality, and he's forgetting things, and I think we just kind of get sidetracked from his multiple personalities.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna watch it if it's on again, because I mean, any content's good content, and that's again the fun thing about having these podcasts, is that you get the platform where you can put your opinion out there and be like, oh, I like this. So like I say things like I think that the second Thor movie is actually a Star Trek movie. And people are like,
I would agree.
What? Yeah. It's like, look at the plot. It's actually a Star Trek movie. So the people get they're like, oh, it's so terrible. I'm like, it's not though. Yeah.
Oh, definitely. I think we just had this conversation with Kraven the Hunter. I'm personally, I like the trailer. I'm excited for the movie.
Cool.
Cool. I know Alex is not as big of a fan of what was released, and I think some of that has to do with the Morbius story.
Yeah. Well, it kind of looks like Morbius. So.
Yeah, it definitely
kind of looks exactly like Morbius.
But I really like the actor, so I'm hoping for a little bit of a slightly different. I like the action, so I'm hoping that's going to make up for it.
Ryan, did you get a chance to watch the Morbius movie?
Yeah, I like. How
was it? Is it worth a watch, or should I just skip it?
I think
skip it.
Morbius as a character in that movie did a really good job as a character. The storyline was a little weak. So it's on Netflix, and that's the nice thing. It's free.
Oh, is it?
It's on Netflix, so you don't even have to worry about it. I would say definitely watch it, because I think you're definitely going to have something. Eventually, you're going to have Venom, the way that they ended it in the Spider-Man movie, Morbius and Kraven. You're definitely going to probably see that somewhere. in the next.
They're
Spider-Man.
trying to lead to the Sinister Six and all that. Like,
Yeah.
we'll see how far they get before rights revert and all that. But who knows? I mean, now you've got Doc Ock, who is maybe back. So
Yeah.
or I don't know who's alive, who's dead at this point in that universe, but we'll see. And they're definitely going to bring Venom in. But
Oh, for sure.
who's it going to be against? Like, are they going to bring back Garfield's? Because that's always a possibility.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
I hate how at the end of the Amazing Spider-Man 2, they introduced kind of that subplot where they're going to get the Sinister Six and
Oh, that was the
Gonna-
best, showing all 6 costumes and then like just scrapping, which I get that they all want to go in a different direction, but you really got my hopes up and then they just dashed them.
Yeah, that's how it goes. And I mean, I don't know, like the next big movie that's coming out for like live action Marvel is, well, not even live action Marvel. I don't know what the next Marvel one is, but I know the next DC one's going to be Aquaman that comes
Yeah.
in.
Marvel they got pushed back. I don't know. Alex might know this. When's the next? Do you know what the next Marvel movie is now? The new writer's strike.
Next is Loki. I think the season 2 that'll be out this year, but I don't know what the movie is.
I thought it was Blade is the first one in 2025 now, or 24. Because then the last 2 movies for Marvel it just got pushed back to 2025 and 2026.
oh wow,
Which feels like
you look at eternity.
Yeah,
I have to imagine some of that is due to the writer strike right now.
100%. I would say.
Yeah,
A good
and
chunk of that.
it's one of those things like I have no faults with that. It's like they've got to do their thing and they got to figure it out. So we
For sure.
went through this in the early 2000s. That's why True Blood got weird.
Yeah.
So it's like
I'm hoping Neil Patrick Harris is like, all right, Dr. Horrible sing along season 2 would be fantastic.
that would be
so
so
good.
great. Yeah. And I mean, everyone's still around. You still got Nathan Fillion.
Yeah.
He's going stronger than ever, with the rookie. So
Felicia Day's ready to go. I mean, you can get everyone.
I like this. Well, actually, she would have to come back as a ghost or a clone then, right?
Yeah.
Okay, Captain Hammer. So, yeah, that would be interesting. But the next movie that's coming out is Ninja Turtles: Mutant Mayhem.
Yes.
How do you guys feel about this one? So, knowing that, I don't know if you're the same age as I am. I'm 42. So, are you gentlemen of the same vintage where you remember them from when you were kids?
I luckily got on the 87 Turtles like at the very last 3 seasons.
Nice.
And then I carried on.
same.
Yeah.
For me, it was definitely the cartoons, but definitely the first movie. I can't remember what year
Yeah,
it was, but
1990,
that's what I remember the most. Those are my turtles right there.
For the record, my favorite Turtles movie is Secret of the Ooze.
Ooh,
I just love it. Like Kino is my guy. So Ernie Reyes Jr.
That was great to know that he played a turtle in the first movie and then got his actual role in the second movie.
Exactly. Yeah. He was the guy in the suit. So how cool is that? That they're like, yeah, we've got this much faith in you because you were in Red Sonja, and you had your own TV show.
And there was nothing better than the Ninja Rap. It's still on my playlist. Depending on what
my
I'm
dream guest is Vanilla
That's
Ice.
a go-to.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that would be fantastic. Just to hear like how that deal went down, and did he actually plan the Ninja Rap or was that completely ad-libbed?
I heard he
like
stole
that
it
was
from Suge Knight.
That would not surprise me.
That's what Suge told me, at least. But he did have his hands around my neck, holding me over the balcony.
Sounds about right.
Those movies hold up to this day. I don't care
Yeah.
what anybody says. Those movies are just, for me, those are the pinnacle of the peak of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I'm looking forward to seeing the new one just because Seth Rogen produced it, and he's a big comic book fan. And he's pretty good with sticking to the source material. Like, I don't know if he saw any of Preacher on AMC.
I've heard everyone who saw Preacher said it was far from, because I look, Preacher's on my list to read. Like, it's one of those things where it's like I just kind of go back and read The Watchmen all the time. So I'm like, it's in my queue to read. I just I hadn't gotten.
I haven't read it either, to be honest. But
they definitely had to step away because the graphic novel got really, really intense. So to do that on AMC would have been hard.
And,
So
and
they
I
had,
know all about it
yeah,
because I read Wizard magazine back in the
Yeah.
'90s. So it's like, yeah, they're like, oh, Preacher this, Saint of Killers, Arts Faced, Daisy. Like, okay, I know all the characters, so that kind of counts, right? Yeah.
yeah. The nice thing about Turtles though is that the continuity is amazing with Turtles. Going from the '87 Turtles to the 2003 4 Kids edition,
Yeah.
which I really liked that one. I loved season 1 through 5 that was probably my favorite animated turtle
They're
show of all
just
time.
releasing the box set. I just saw they announced it last week. The box set of Blu-rays is going to be coming out, so you can get
I
the whole
cannot wait to
series.
pre-order it so much. That was 6 and 7 were not my favorite just because everything kind of changed. I forgot what company I think that resumed it, but that wasn't as good. But the storyline was pretty solid. Even the 2012 reboot was actually pretty good.
I love that one, and I mean, a lot of Turtles fans you talk to, like maybe this is you, Alejandro, I don't know, but like a lot of Turtles fans that you talk to are like total purists, and they love that 2003 series because it was so close and it pulled directly from the Mirage comics.
Yeah.
But the new one came out the year after the newest series, which is the IDW series, which I say is the best series that they've ever done. Just because now you get actual character development, they can move forward with what do we do after we beat the Shredder? Well, here's 100 issues afterwards. So it's like, oh wow, you know. So it's like you actually get to know who they are, what are they about, like what's up with the Triceratons, what's Krang about, like all that kind of stuff. In the 2012 series was a lot like that because they're like, oh, we're gonna be what if Donatello had a crush on a human? Well, how would that affect him? And now he's competing with Casey, and now he's a car. How does that happen? I don't know. So, and Usagi Yojimbo's in there. It's amazing. So there's like all kinds of great stuff, and I know I think that might be on Netflix right now, but it was on Hulu.
I think it was on Netflix. I think it still is because I've been looking. Instead of waiting for the DVDs for the 2003, I'm like, all right, well,
And that's on Paramount. I know.
yeah, I think the Turtles are still on Netflix. I said, I'm pretty sure the 2012 is still on Netflix.
Yeah, it's
I
good.
think I watched it before Kevin Eastman came to C2E2. I was like, all right, let's brush up on some of this.
He did a voice in that series. You guys did you know that?
I had heard it,
I
but I
did
don't
not.
know what character.
He did the voice of Ice Cream Kitty.
Mm.
So Ice Cream Kitty is a mutated cat that lives in their freezer. So and Kevin Eastman did the voice. That's pretty fun.
Yeah, that's Alejandro. You should definitely go on Netflix this week.
I'll
You
take
would
a
like
look
the
at it.
2012.
All right.
Yeah, the 2012 is cool. Now, we were talking about this next one's coming out. It's got some big time voice actors in it, and I mean Ice Cube is playing Superfly, the bad guy in it, and the trailer just came out and it looks like this is going to be a little bit different than kind of what I thought. What kind of initial reactions do you guys have? Have you watched the trailer? I should ask.
I think the
I've
only downside for me was hearing Donatello's voice. It just sounded, I don't know, too high pitched or something.
He's
But
the youngest of them for sure, like you could tell. Yeah.
yeah, something was going on. I think he needs to get a growth spurt immediately. But other than that, I think I did enjoy the trailer and definitely considering on going to watch it once it hits theaters.
Oh, for sure. I mean, Jackie Chan being in it, that was fantastic. I mean, that for me is just like a full circle thing, like finally bringing him into this fold.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, having him is just going to add more to the franchise, and to comment on Alejandro, like the Turtles sounding like so young. Maybe like did they just turn 13? Is that where the teen is kicking in? Which if that is, like I mean, that makes it interesting, right? They have like those whole teenage span, before they turn like 18 or 20 or before they're out of the teen phase, I guess, and but I mean it looks fun. I mean definitely it looks fun.
And it's crazy too because in the new series I was talking about, the IDW series, the turtles lived, their lives as humans, and then they were killed by the Shredder, and they reincarnated into their kind of same ages. That's so they like the next day, they were teenagers when they got mutated. So it's like they just kind of start out as teenagers. They didn't have like that. I'm living with Splinter and he's training us. They retained everything from when they were trained in feudal Japan. So
Yeah.
Wow.
so this is like so different, and it's back to the original stuff. It's like, oh, neat.
Yeah.
And Rose Byrne as Leatherhead? What? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's the nice thing about the trailer is it definitely reminds me of the classic Turtles, which is it's nice to see that. Like I said, I think everyone's just they know what people like in the Turtles,
Mhm.
and they vary it just enough that you could bring in a new audience, but they keep it kind of within the storyline for everyone to enjoy.
Yeah.
And that for me, that's the best thing about the trailer. Every character you could tell the personalities. Raphael will always be my favorite turtle.
That's one of the questions. So, I'll have to ask the rest of you, for Alejandro and Alex. So, who are your favorites?
Oh, and I've always been a Michelangelo guy, the leader. It just
Michelangelo,
not Michelangelo. Sorry, that's
Leonardo.
Leonardo. Sorry, Leonardo. Yes, I'm sorry. Michelangelo is my second favorite. And because he's funny, he's a jokester. Leonardo is the leader. He's got the swords, and he's just an overall badass in my opinion. So
I've always leaned towards Donatello because he's just like the techie of the group. He's kind of smart, and I mean, even in the first movie, he was kind of hanging out along with Michelangelo, and they would just banter back and forth. And I think one of the favorite parts of the movie was when he was taking turns with Casey Jones, just calling each other names when they're trying to fix this truck. And I think they're going by the alphabet, Fish Face. I don't remember all the names, but they were just going back and forth till Casey just gave up.
Those little human moments of the film where it's like they're not doing like some crazy martial arts stunt or something, or Raph waking up in the tub, or
Yeah.
like Mikey Pizza Dude's got 30 seconds, it's like yeah, no, I could absolutely see that. It's kind of funny too because we almost went that way where there's four of us and there'd be four different turtles that are your favorite. I'm a Leo guy, unapologetically. Like I will be salty if we're playing the arcade game and I can't play as Leo. Like I just he's my guy. He's not just one of my favorite turtles. He's one of my favorite comic book characters. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, like we almost did that split. And Kevin Eastman says he's like when he asks people like at a panel, it's like okay, raise your hand if you're a Donatello fan. Raise your hand if you're a Raph fan. He's like it's usually split like pretty evenly. Like and it's so funny because I don't know that there's another comic that really does that. Because even with like the X-Men or Avengers or Justice League or something like that, it's like, well, who likes Wolverine? Like everybody raises their hand. Okay, who likes Cyclops? 4 people raise their hand. So, and I'm one of those 4. That's cool. So, who likes Nightcrawler? Everybody in the place raises their hand. Both hands because he's the best. So it's like, stuff like that. It's like there's no other thing where there's a split, and
No.
it's just really cool.
Yeah, that's the best thing about the Turtles, and especially in the new trailer and the newer shows, it's just they take 4 different personalities and they completely make them they don't ever blend into each other. You're never gonna see like Raphael trying to be Donatello.
Oh yeah.
And that was so nice about the last Ronin. That was the best 5 issues I've ever read. Is watching Michelangelo take on a completely new role, I think, than he's ever had to.
Mm-hmm.
I'll show you guys something because this got me in trouble with the wife, but I'm going to show you this. So here, you see the statue there, the last Ronin.
Yeah. Oh wow!
Beautiful.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
that came in the day before my wedding. So
Yeah, it was too late. I mean, everything was already done.
oh yeah, it's done and paid for.
Yeah.
Did you put it on the register? Is that how
I
you
did,
got it?
she had asked me that, and I said no, I did not. So I told her it was a pre-order for before, and it was like a 2-year-old pre-order or something like that. But I'm like, oh, did they have to send it the day before?
Right.
Yeah, that I love the Last Ronin. Like I think Alex had mentioned how they're going to turn it into a video game, and I think that's awesome. I'd be surprised if we don't see something for this new Ninja Turtles movie, like with a crossover for a game. I haven't even seen something for a mobile game, which I was kind of shocked. I'm like, this is coming out in August, and they're not hyping it up that much.
That was Splintered Fates.
Yeah, that's written by Tom Waltz, so it's basically the IDW Turtles, kind of like that. So it's and that's just an Apple Arcade. I don't think that's hit Android yet, but it's cool. Kind of fun.
Yeah, as long as it's not as difficult as the Super Nintendo Turtles, I still hate the underwater missions with
Oh, geez, yeah,
those
yeah.
damn tournaments. That
The
will
trigger.
haunt me for so many times.
I can beat the dam without losing a turtle. Like I can. Like I'm not great
Oh,
on the other ones, but like the dam, I've got it down. You know, like I can do that. I'm not good at video games, but I'm good at that level. So
now Justin, I wanted to ask a quick question before
of
we
course.
get any further. What do you think about the crossovers? I mean, between like two different franchises with the turtles. Like, for instance, like I liked a lot the turtles when they met the Power Rangers.
Oh my god,
Yeah.
that was so good.
So I was gonna go here with you guys because since you were but I'll come back to that later. But yeah, you beat me to the punch. The Batman crossover.
Yes.
They did three of them. So it's Freddie Williams the second doing the art on it. James Tinian the fourth is doing the writing on all three of them. And they kept the team together and all that. The first one is so good, but the animation is even better. And if you guys seen the Turtles versus Batman animated, they have like an extended scene of Batman versus the Shredder, which again leads me to be
Oh,
like why he's one of I think
Ooh.
the best villains. And they established that like no prep time, um, and he loses. Okay, cool. Sorry, I was just looking at the chat there. But yeah, no prep time. Batman loses, and it was like, oh, and in the comic, it's not that big a deal. You know, it's just like, okay, this happened. Moving on. You know that, and then he has to
Yeah.
come back and put on like a special bat suit so he can actually beat the Shredder. So
Yeah, that I don't think I've ever seen the animated edition of that, but man, that'd be up there.
Yeah, it's on my list of things to read as far as that crossover goes.
I like the
Yeah.
second one, and if you're like Alejandro and you're a fan of Donatello, the second one has just so much more emotion to it. It's
Oh,
basically
really?
like Donatello's like, man, I wish I could talk to Batman and know how he's a scientist and a detective and a crime fighter and all that. And it gets to a point where like Venom's involved, and not like the symbiote, but
No,
or
right.
symbiote, whichever way you go.
The
But
drug, right?
yeah, the drug. So you've got a venomized Bebop and Rocksteady and Bane taking out Splinter. What? You know, it's crazy. And then in the third one, you get like that sort of weird shift where you have like, oh, Leonardo is mixed with Nightwing, and who obviously Ryan, who would be mixed with Red Hood?
Oh, definitely
Raph.
Raphael,
Yeah, of
100%.
course.
That's I would
Of
buy that
course.
standalone comic any day.
Oh yeah, yeah, and it's like everything made sense, and you're like, oh my god, it all just makes so much sense. And it's James Tynion the fourth, who is not like you can't even argue that he's the hottest writer in comics right now. You know,
Yeah.
with like everything that he's doing, it's like he's working at every company. So it's like this is just so cool. But I think it's amazing, and like I'm all for more of that stuff. We've got the Power Rangers going on. It's Turtles Power Rangers 2, which I think issue 5 just came out.
Yeah.
That's good. You've got Turtles Usagi Yojimbo going on right now.
Yes.
That's I mean technically he's back at Dark Horse now. He was at IDW for a little bit, so you know. But I
That
mean
was
the
my
Turtles, that's how they started out, doing crossovers with like
yeah.
Gobbledygook and like I don't know, Grimjack, you know, like weird stuff from like way back. So
Now, I didn't read the Turtles crossover with the Ghostbusters. Did you read that
oh,
one?
it's so good.
Was it?
Yes, we actually maybe about 4 episodes ago we had writer Eric Berneman, who is the
Ooh.
he's the Ghostbusters writer, you know, and he's the one who's writing the Saturday Morning Adventures right now, and I highly recommend you guys get on that, like, especially if you like the '87 cartoon, and it's got the art of Tim Laddie, who did the Shredder's Revenge artwork, so for the video game, so it's really cool.
Okay.
But Ghostbusters, such a good book, and if you like seeing those interactions with characters, and we were talking about like, oh, who's your favorite turtle? It's like, well, who's your favorite Ghostbuster? Because that's kind of a thing too. So then you think it's like, well, who would be most like Leonardo? Winston. And he's talking with Winston, and I'm like, oh my god, this is amazing. Like this, like, and I just love Winston so much more now. And then you got Egon, and Egon's talking with Donatello because it makes sense, you know. And then like, okay, who's Raph talking? Raph is talking with Peter, and Michelangelo is talking with Ray because Ray gets all excited and geeky and stuff like that. So you know, it's, and then Casey's involved, and he's uh, possessed by a ghost. So it's like those sort of things are just really fun to do.
Yeah, for sure.
Who would
Man,
be your ideal? So let's switch this on you guys. And I mean, there's an obvious answer, but who would be your ideal person or team or anything like that to cross over with the Turtles?
ooh, Fantastic Four Turtles has always been something I'd like to see. Uh,
Damn.
Raphael and the Thing, just going on a straight brawl would be fantastic.
Yeah. Out the gate, I wasn't thinking you'd go Marvel. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, he took mine. Damn it.
I swear I thought you were going to say Daredevil, which is like the huge elephant in the room. It's like, yes, that has to happen at some point, you know?
Oh yeah. I mean, without Daredevil, I mean, technically there wouldn't be any Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
It's
So
100% true. Without Frank Miller's run on
Yeah.
Daredevil, it just would not exist.
yeah,
I mean, you could do a Heroes for Hire with the TMNT.
yeah. That's
I
Nice
love that.
spin-off.
With Luke Cage and
Luke
Iron
Cage,
Fist, maybe
yeah.
Colleen Wing. Oh, that
Yeah.
would be amazing, actually.
Turtles go to Kowloon. Oh man, that would be.
Hunt down Doctor Doom for his $200.
There you go.
I'm just so glad no one said Punisher, by the way. So
Ooh.
I just don't get his comics, you know.
I think Spidey would be a good team
Spidey
up
would be great.
with because like both of them are charismatic, especially like Leonardo. I mean, I could see Michelangelo fanning out over Spider-Man, and him wanting to like team up. I mean, even the Avengers would be a great crossover with the Turtles.
Which version of the Avengers would you go with? The movie version, or are you talking like '90s Force Works with like Sentry and Scarlet Witch and Spider Woman? 1994. Okay.
Yeah. I think those would be really good. Just because they're
Is that
roughly around the
Heroes
same time.
Reborn era that you're talking about there?
Oh my god! I'm not sure. I don't know that. To be completely honest, Justin.
It's all right.
Yeah.
We get geeky on this show, so I
No.
don't even know. I don't even know either. I'm just happy that someone mentioned Luke Cage, and I'm like, oh, I get to talk about Luke Cage finally.
Right.
Luke, that was so good.
That was a good show. It's one of those things I would always hope that they brought him back, maybe in like She-Hulk, or maybe they'll bring him back in the Daredevil Reborn.
That's my biggest hope now that I know Disney has them kind of just socked away. I think all three of those shows, especially when they came out, that was probably one of the better live action for Marvel. Luke Cage was done. That was just great acting. That was a great actor. He nailed the role so well.
Is it Michael Claiborne or Michael Clayton?
I think so.
Something like that. Yeah.
I didn't like the way season 2 ended, but I was like, oh, that's no big deal. These shows are doing so great. Of course they're going to do a season 3. Why would they pull them? And then
we got season 3 of Jessica Jones, right? And we got
I think
that.
so. And Punisher's getting another season because Rosario Dawson at C2E2 is like, this is the first time I get to work with John Bernthal, and I get to complete the Marvel set because she was in all their shows.
Didn't she try to redact that?
Wow, that's crazy.
Because she was in fact, she as the nurse is the only character that technically saw all heroes of those Netflix shows. Because she was in Jessica Jones first.
Well, Daredevil would have been first, I think, right? Because she was the one in the.
Yes, she was.
Yeah, she's in
Daredevil, and then Jessica Jones, and then eventually in Luke Cage. Yep. The whole let's get some coffee thing. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Yeah, that's cool though. I can't believe that's like such low hanging fruit that I never even thought of. But like, yeah, Heroes for Hire would be amazing.
Oh yes.
We asked Kevin Eastman this, and he said Commandy would be cool. Commandy and like all the people from the future, like the tiger and like the apes and all that, like the mutant people. I'm like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, Daredevil, obviously. I thought 90s X-Men, like X-Men from the cartoon, would be cool. You got Wolverine and Jubilee.
That is a great idea.
Yeah.
That is a fantastic idea.
That'd be fun. I mean, they already did Ghostbusters, so, And Star Trek, I think, would be great. Like the original Star Trek or even Next Generation would be fantastic. And if anyone says Voyager, I will lose my mind because that is the wrong answer. So, But I mean, how cool would it be? You've got like Spock and Donatello, and they're working on some problem, and Spock is just thinking about like how illogical all his stuff is, like being held together with like bubble gum or whatever. It's
Oh,
like,
for sure. Trying to show like Spock to eating pizza and like trying
yeah.
to, how to enjoy pizza, and Michelangelo trying to teach him, that would be a fantastic panel.
And they
Just
laid the
laid out.
groundwork for this, with the whole Space Heroes things in the 2012 series with Leonardo, where he was like obsessed with original Star Trek. So yeah, I could see that. All right, I'll throw another one at you guys. Galaxy Quest. How about that? So we go even more meta, and it's Galaxy Quest, in a different dimension, and they meet the Ninja Turtles, but it's the turtles from the movie.
I'd be okay with that.
I mean,
I like
how crazy
Galaxy
would
Quest.
that be?
That'd be a fun watch.
Wow. Yeah, you go some crazy places on a podcast sometimes.
Oh, 100%.
It's like,
It's the multiverse here, guys.
yeah, it kind of is. It's fun.
If they could go back to live action and do TMNT with the Punk Toads, I'd be
Yeah.
so excited.
Oh, that'd be great. I feel like the Bay movies kind of ruined that for a while. Like it'll come around again, because I hear Colin Jost is like thinking about doing something like that, and I mean he's got some juice. He's top writer at SNL, so it's like it'll probably happen.
That'd be great.
Now, before I forget, an idea just popped in my head. What about the cartoons, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the ones that we grew up with, in the 80s, meets Street Shark?
Oh, Street Sharks
that would
so
be a
cool.
good one.
I mean, live action Street Shark. I want to say that there was a lot of test screens for those, and they just never came to fruition. I hope one day someone's gonna see that this would be one of the best
Would
things.
Vin Diesel be in it though? That's
100%. Yes,
He has to be.
Vin
Yeah,
Diesel, The Rock.
it's all
Like-
about family, right?
It would 100% be like everyone you would think. Terry Crews.
Oh, I love Terry Crews. That's so fantastic.
Terry
He's like,
Crews
he'll be
as
the
a
whale
Street
one.
Shark would be so good.
Well,
It's
Vin
kind of
Diesel
like big,
was
like a street
Yeah.
shark.
He's ready to go. Him and The Rock, they're already in costume.
yeah.
They don't like each other though, so that's something to
They-
consider.
That
Vin
would-
Diesel was in a Street Sharks commercial.
Yes,
okay?
yeah,
Yes,
that's why I was thinking of it. So
Yeah.
it's like that would be so much fun. Bring everything around full circle.
Right. Oh goodness. Sorry, go ahead, Justin. I didn't mean to interrupt.
Now you got me thinking about like all these other things that we never saw, like the Trauma with Toxic Crusaders and stuff like that. And man, I don't know why I really want a Silverhawks movie or series or something right now, but
I would do that.
Yeah.
Live action Captain Planet would be. I would love to see that so much.
is that irrelevant now? Do you think? Like, is that something that would still come up and be poignant, and it'd be like, okay, there's like all these people from like different continents, and they're making this one Superman played by Don Cheadle, I imagine. But
Sure.
do you think that would hit as much as it did in the 90s?
To some degree, I think it'd definitely be more of nostalgia. I mean, I think you got some kids that'd be like, "Oh, this is funny. I've seen memes about this, and
Exactly.
I've always wondered what Captain Planet is." I do think the action element. No one really got hurt ever in Captain Planet. I mean,
Yeah,
that was,
I think you're right. Yeah,
it
they had
was
some
always
cool
been-
villains,
Oh,
and-
they had very, yeah. But I think a lot of people would be like, "Oh, so they cleaned up the lake." I watched an hour movie that they cleaned up the lake. But for me, I'd be like, "Oh, just play the theme song. That's all I want to hear."
I could see Captain Planet coming back as a villain, kind of like in that Comedy or Die thing that he did,
Yeah.
where it's like, and then he just goes and becomes like a full eco-terrorist. So,
Corrupting Captain Planet would be fantastic.
and who's going to stop him, guys? But Matt Tracker from Mask. Yeah,
Matt,
it's like,
if I could get a live action of Mask with Liam Neeson as
oh my
that,
god,
I would watch that.
got a certain set of skills. And those skills
Oh,
in
my God.
turning my car into a plane.
He just has a van, just masks us everywhere in the van.
Oh my god. So who plays the bad guy? Was it Cobra or whatever? The bad guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Who do we get for that?
That'd be tough. I just want to see Daniel Radcliffe as a villain every time I see him. I feel like he could fill the role.
He was good in Lost City, and I mean, it wasn't a great movie, but I enjoyed him. Sandra Bullock vehicle. Say with it what you will, but it was interesting. So that's fun. Now, shifting here, I'm going to go back to villains here because I did listen to most of the first episode. We were talking about villains. And just to go back, so you said you didn't really like Doctor Doom. Shredder should have been on the list. What about the Kingpin? Where does the Kingpin fall on your guys' villain list for tier?
He's in a mid-level because he, for the most part, physically, despite what everyone has seen on the shows, he is pretty much an unstoppable force physically. I mean, he's
He did
actually
kill a
strong.
Spider-Man. I mean,
Yeah,
in the Spider-Verse movie, he killed the Chris Pine Spider-Man.
yeah. So I mean, I think a lot of people, and even in the Daredevil show, I mean, that I thought was one of the best.
Yeah.
Vincent D'Onofrio, I think that was like prime Kingpin. Um, he's not super powered. He's a dangerous man. I do think on the scale he stays like New York. I don't see him ever being like, you know what, I'm gonna take over the world. But I think if he was to ever set his sights like kind of like a Lex Luthor, I want to become president. Yeah, he would be extremely dangerous. He would move up higher on the list.
Are you guys current on your Daredevil reading? I'm not. I just read Devil's Reign. I'm like way behind, but he was the mayor of New York for a while, and kind of stuff happened, and then he had to go for re-election. He got the Purple Man, and he was trying to use the Purple Man to influence everybody to vote for him. So not to make them to, but just to kind of give him that little push. And it was like this big deal, and it gets kind of convoluted, but it was a decent story. But I mean, Kingpin's always there, and the reason I mention this is because, like Lex Luthor, there was this. Let's say there's like a shadow group that was trying to make Wilson Fisk run for president afterwards. So I didn't know if that was a thing, like if he's now president in the Marvel universe. So
I don't think so, but I would
no,
I would
that's
like
good.
to see that. Because like I said, even putting the Sinister Six, I mean he may not be jumping out of windows throwing bombs, but he's got a lot of potential.
Yeah, and I mean he's married to Typhoid Mary,
Yeah,
who's a pyrokinetic psycho assassin. He controls Bullseye. When Bullseye's around, it's like, and that's a hard personality to deal with. He's respected by Norman Osborn. He's respected by Doom. You know, mentioned on the show like Sinister. I'm like, I don't know if Sinister would respect him because he's just a human or whatever. But yeah, I don't know. I find him to be one of the scarier ones because like he is the person that it's like in that first series of Daredevil. Like if you mention his name, like you'll get killed. And
yeah.
then you literally watch him like smash somebody's head in a car door, and it's like, oh my goodness, this is
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, I mean he's definitely a foe that you don't want to mess with, and he's not just physically but also like intellectually as well.
Yeah,
Like he may not be as brilliant as like Doctor Doom or Reed Richards, but I mean he has resources and he knows how to move the chess pieces just enough to where he's in control. And so yeah, I mean if he really wanted to, I mean he could do a lot of damage if he choose to do it. But for him, I feel like yes, he wants control, right? But he also wants a measure of peace, you know. So like I don't
he
think he's
understands both sides for sure. Yeah.
yeah, I don't ever think like his goal would to be like to destroy the world because like he lives here along with us. All he wants is like to be able to have control, but also to be able to have a fulfilled life. I mean, it's one of those like dynamics that about him that some people lean towards. But I mean, again, but like he's got this ruthless side that you just don't want to cross.
That's a really good take on it. I like
Yeah.
that. This may be a tough question for you guys. So this will be a question for all three of you to answer. Do you remember what your favorite comic you ever read was? Or maybe do you remember what the most impactful story arc was that you ever read?
Ooh. Probably Batman Year Zero.
Year zero. Okay. I'm trying to think of year zero because I remember year one pretty well, like Frank Miller and Mazzucchelli. So which one was year zero?
Year Zero goes like his very first year one kind of took us like, all right, he's got his feet on the ground. He's controlling, but like Year Zero is like he is fresh. He is learning exactly what Gotham is, what kind of where his surroundings are, where his how to clean up and like trying to figure out how to live his life as both Bruce Wayne and Batman.
Nice. Nice. That's
And for me, that was just, I mean, you're watching the man and you know he's going to become Batman, and just seeing that those experiences that take him up there to become Batman.
it's a good answer. That's pretty cool. What do you guys got?
For me, it would be Superior Spider-Man with Dan Slott.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. I
That
mean,
he got hate mail for that.
I
Like
can't
death.
believe it.
Yeah,
I
that's
mean, I know he did. I mean, a lot of people took it way too seriously about like, oh, Spider-Man's never gonna come back. And at first, like, I
of course
thought
he's coming
that,
back.
yeah, but Dan wrote it so good that like, actually, I thought like I wouldn't mind if Peter Parker never came back, you know. And it, I mean, like, I remember reading the prelude to that where you find out the twist that like Doc Ock switched bodies with Peter Parker, and like his just writing just kept me on my toes the whole time, and that's how I felt with like the whole run of Superior Spider-Man,
Wow. Yeah.
and it just the writing and along with the artwork, it just shows like amazing storytelling, that to this day, I hold a top tier. So
That's awesome.
yeah.
Right, you're up,
Alejandro?
Alejandro.
I haven't really read that much comics.
Well, it could be a movie story. It could be
Movie.
anything.
Movie wise, I would
You
probably
could say the
just-
Arkham series of video games. You never know. So, but something that just affected you, and you're like, wow, this is awesome.
that affected me. Honestly, I think I just have to tie it back to the original movie of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I like, compared to the other two live action ones, I think that was just one of the more serious tone, dark. I've rewatched them a couple of times already, and I just think, how did they get to number one, where they're trained by Splinter, they kidnap Splinter, they're all freaking out, they don't know what to do. They go with their only friend April, who try to help them out. They get ambushed at her apartment. Ralph is knocked out. They're freaking out. They don't know if they're going to see him alive. And they go back to essentially the woods to retrain themselves. And then you go to the second movie, The Ooze, where it's just more lighthearted, fun.
Way more kid friendly for sure. They don't use their weapons like at all. So yeah.
No, I think at the beginning of the movie, Michelangelo uses sausages, Polish sausages, or something instead of the nunchucks.
Combat cold cuts.
Yes.
But definitely, I would say the first Ninja Turtle movie.
Yeah, and I mean, that's such a good answer, because it's like, it's so good, and the light scale that they use, everything's dark. And if you look at that movie in comparison to like any other movie, maybe with the exception of like Blade, they're just well lit. And this is so dark, you can't see the imperfections in the costumes or anything, and it's pretty cool. So that's a good one. I like that. That's cool. You guys, are you planning to get each other to read certain story arcs and all that for the show? Like, are you going to set it up where it's like, hey, we're going to read Infinity Gauntlet, or we're going to check out the Amalgam books where DC and Marvel crossed over? Like, what are you going to do?
So, second episode, we actually did one of really good Batman episode, was the Court of Owls.
Nice.
That was the first time you ever saw Batman. Like I said,
on his ass,
completely lose his sanity, which is a frightening thing to do. The other big thing is me and Alex have been trying to get Alejandro to read House of M. That was probably
that's a
one
great
of
book. Yeah, it made me think a lot
influential.
about Magneto as a character, as opposed to like an antagonist.
Yeah.
And you're like, wow, he would literally be this way if he had no powers. Okay, so it's like cool.
I mean, that was the nice thing too. You kind of feel for Magneto, like just learning his background and like what he went through. Yeah, I 100% can see why he did what he did. I kind of actually want to join him. I think he is in the right, just from what he had to endure.
And that came out at the time that we were just getting X-Men First Class with Michael Fassbender.
Yeah.
So it's like, and it's so relevant because it's like, well, you got this young, cool guy playing this character, and he's so sympathetic and all that. And it's like, this is awesome. Oh, and by the way, Gandalf played him too. So it's like, oh, damn. Yeah. No, I totally get that. That's a great storyline. I actually have another show that I do. It's called Comics Paradox, where we do what ifs and we do Elseworlds, and we cover like some of those like what if things. And I think eventually we'll get to House of M. So, but
Oh, for sure.
that's pretty cool. I would suggest if you guys haven't read it, one of my absolute favorite stories is Kingdom Come, right, by
Oh,
DC. Like
yes.
I started out as a Marvel guy, and like I've always loved Turtles, and I've always loved the X-Men and all that, and Daredevil and all that. But like after I read two books, the first would be Crisis on Infinite Earths, and then after I read Kingdom Come, there's no way in hell I could not have been a DC guy. It's just that good, and I'm like, oh my god, Alex Ross did this. Mark Waid, who are these people? Like I need to read everything they've ever done. You know, it's like it's so good. I would suggest like that. That would be awesome.
I would say Kingdom Come for me and Alex especially. It was a big one because the artwork from Alex Ross is just that is almost untouchable. I
Mhm.
mean, and then Forever Evil was one of our.
Oh, Forever Evil. Wow. Yeah.
That was such a good storyline.
Yeah, that was like a whole year of that too.
Yeah.
It was weird that they had Catwoman involved in that though, but it's all right. As long as you don't tell me Punchline is your favorite villain, which
No.
as long as yeah, because can we all agree that she's just superfluous and not needed?
No, she's that. I don't understand.
Like, does anyone like her? You know, it's like I'm sorry, James the Fourth. You know, I just talked you up so much, and I don't like your character. But just like let's get a millennial, and she's gonna her powers are gonna be social media. Really? Yeah, that's kind of what it is. So
Meh.
I don't know, but yeah, that and like Batman White Knight, like that kind of stuff. They're really
Yeah.
cool. But, yeah, and let's see what would I wanted to ask just about the show. So, are you planning to have guests on the show, like in the future, like going forward, like and if that case, who would you want on as your ideal guests?
For me, Geoff Johns would be my ideal guess because, like I said, Brightest Day, Blackest Night. I've always loved Green Lantern. That for me, that was like pinnacle. I don't think a lot of people gave a lot of respect to Green Lantern.
He
The
is the
Sinestro,
Green Lantern guy, like more than Ron Mars, more than anybody. It's like he is Green Lantern, like at its core.
yeah,
Pun intended.
Sinestro Core Wars were good, and I think that helped. But Blackest Night and Brightest Day, I think, really launched it. Like, all right, Green Lantern. This is a pretty serious comic book. This can get heavy.
I don't know if you can see him, but
So
I'll pull
Ryan,
it
you must have enjoyed it when they made that Green Lantern movie with Ryan Reynolds.
I actually did not mind that
Yeah,
movie.
my
Yes.
Sinestro, my White Lantern
Sinestro,
Sinestro.
White Lantern.
So he's
Yeah,
my
what's
favorite.
up?
Yeah, I liked the movie. I pretty much everything Green Lantern for me is I could turn a blind eye because I'm just happy to get the content.
I'll be honest with you. I like that movie, like to watch. It's Hector Hammond should not have been the villain, but
No, that was
that's
not my
fine.
favorite.
You can't tell me Mark Strong as Sinestro is not both menacing and amazing because
Oh.
I mean, it's he's the bad guy from Kick-Ass. You know, it's like, he's just he fits the part. So it's
The end
watchable.
credit scenes. For
Yes.
The spoilers for whoever hasn't seen it, but when he put that yellow ring on and transformed, I was like, oh my god, this is everything I wanted.
And the cool stuff like when Toma Ray is just showing like this green sort of particles floating around, and he's like, "Oh, this is what you can do with this ring." It's awesome. Michael Clark Duncan's last film, I think, where he played as Kilowog.
Kilowog. Yeah.
There's a lot about that movie that's good, and I know it really gets like pooped on a lot, but it's like, you know what? There's good parts of Suicide Squad.
Yeah,
You know,
I would
like
agree.
the Suicide Squad was cool, but like Suicide Squad, you know, you take out the Joker stuff, and you can kind of watch that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a good point.
Alex.
I would say if I had to really have my pick of writers, I would love to have interview Dan Slott again.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean he's again like his Superior Spider-Man run and then Amazing Spider-Man, and I know he's done tons of other books, you know, and I just love just to pick his brain and like what makes a good writer and how does he just connect with these characters so well and be able to tell such a compelling story. So and then also like my other dream would be to, and forgive me, his name is escaping me right now, but there was an abandoned crossover between Aliens and Star Trek: The Next Generation book that was going to come out, and they even had like cover artwork and everything ready, and then I think the Disney merger just canceled that and killed that project, and I would love to just interview that
Oh
writer
my
and
goodness,
just
that
find
sounds great.
out what the story would have been, how it would have been like Picard, and his crew encountering the aliens, because I mean that's a perfect setup right there,
Oh
right?
yeah,
Like a crossover that never happened, and that we all wish that would have happened, that almost did, but it just never came to fruition, and I mean, how great, like, I mean, it just fits perfectly, like Picard, Worf battling toe to toe with an alien, and just see
just
who would
think
have,
like
gone out.
Klingons have two of everything, right? Like, so they're
Yeah.
saying, so imagine like the face hugger gets on him and like then it bursts through the chest and all that, and he lives because he's got additional organs to keep him alive. There's
Right.
there's room to run with this.
Oh,
It,
for sure.
that
Yeah.
has to be Ron Mars, I swear, because he did the Green Lantern crossover with aliens.
Oh, that was a
Oh,
great
yeah.
that was a great comic.
That
That
actually
was a
was a
great
really good one.
that
Yeah.
was really amazing. Like,
Even
especially at the end.
the Borg and aliens, I would be.
Oh God.
Oh my god, like that would be insane because you think they could gestate inside the Borg,
Mhm.
Who
right?
would assimilate? Who would be my biggest? Like, does the Borg Queen face off against the Alien Queen for dominance of the hive?
Does she possess them? But
Yeah.
then again, now you're looking at something where it's like they have literal acid for blood. Is that going to be?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's
Exactly. And the only way that a Borg could really assimilate an alien is if like they were assimilate the person that already has an alien implanted in them.
I don't know. If you guys
You
watch
know.
Picard season 3, there's
Yeah.
another way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is great. That was a great season.
I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it. I like season 2 too. So for
Yeah.
all the haters that don't, I liked it. I'm sorry. Yeah. All right, you're up, Alejandro. Who's your ideal guest?
You know what? I think I would like to have Tenoch Huerta, the guy that played Namor in the Black Panther Wakanda Forever. Just to see this new twist on Namor. I don't know much about the original character, but he just brought a new, fresh insight and twist and new culture to it in the movie. So I would like to pick his brain on how he prepared for his role for that.
Yeah, that's a great idea, and I think he did a great job. So
Yeah.
um, pretty much just the last thing I want to say was that Dan Slott got to start doing Ren and Stimpy comics. So how crazy is that to go from that to like now it's kind of like his era of She-Hulk has surpassed the John Byrne stuff.
Yeah, he's like the Dave Filoni of comics, So
Maybe of Marvel, I guess it could
Yeah,
be like
yeah.
that because Jeff Johns is well Dave. I would argue that Dave Filoni is the Jeff Johns of Star Wars now. So,
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
it's kind of like oh yeah, he's had his hands in everything from Smallville on. So it's like, oh crap, yeah, all right, So and I pointed out I love Booster Gold. He's like one of my favorites. Him and Ted Cord Blue Beetle. So
Oh, great
we
team.
forgot Blue Beetle's coming out before
Oh,
Aquaman.
yeah.
How could I forget that? I just saw the preview.
Oh, that's
So-
gonna be so good.
But it's been awesome having you guys on. Awesome talking about some comics. I could do this all day. But before we go, let's where can folks find you? Where do you want folks to find you? And just let's tell them a bit about where they can find your show and all that good stuff.
Yeah, so our website is btkpodcast.com. You can also find us on Instagram at Beyond the Cape podcast. Anywhere you can look us up, iTunes, Spotify. We're trying to put out a weekly show. So anyone that wants to find us, give us a suggestion, anything you'd like to hear, any topics you'd like us to cover, or just anything you want us to find some background info. Like I said, we just want to get everyone in the conversation and kind of get everyone a part of this.
It's awesome. And do you folks want people following you on social media? Are you at that point? Like,
Yeah, definitely follow us and then leave comments. Let us, like I said, let us know what you guys want to see, because we're definitely here to kind of be with the people, kind of all of anyone that's out there that just wants to talk about this and just have a conversation.
Yeah, we always try to post like fun facts about comics, either behind the scenes or just characters or just events on our Instagram page, and then we always post through there too. When we release a new episode.
that's great. That's great. And I think you guys have some fresh perspectives on it. And I really like the positive way that you're going about it. So, the only last question that we ask on here is pineapple on pizza or not? What's your take on that?
Always,
I'm all
I love
for it.
Hawaiian pizza.
Yeah, right. Ryan's on my
for
team.
it.
I love it.
Yeah.
My wife would love hanging out with you guys because she loves Hawaiian pizza.
There's
I
always
despise it. I'm Italian, so I think it's just a big slap in the face when someone adds like pineapple to my pizza. I'm just like, why? I'm like, why would you do this to me? Like, and
one of my friends that we had on, artist Camilo, and he's Italian and Australian, and he has told me that if you have anything on it like pineapple, it becomes a food disc. It is no longer a pizza. And I said, I will take your word for this, Camilo. So that's great. So everyone listening, please go and check out their podcast, Beyond the Cape podcast. You can find them on Spotify and iTunes and probably anywhere else that you can find them. Follow them on Instagram at Beyond the Cape podcast. And with that, I will be back with our pizza time of the week. And gentlemen, we will catch you next time.
All right.
Thanks,
Thanks for
Justin.
having us.
Justin.
Everyone thinks because you're a zombie, you don't know good coffee. Well, they're wrong. We have very active lifestyles. It's not all wandering the countryside aimlessly or scaring passing motorists. And we all love a good cup of joe. And there's only one brew that gets my seal of approval. Deadly Grounds coffee is my guilty pleasure. Bold, robust, delicious. It's coffee that can wake the dead. With over a dozen different roasts and flavors, Deadly Grounds can satisfy the most finicky of coffee addicts. The aroma is so intoxicating. It brings all of my neighbors out of the woodwork. Deadly Grounds coffee. Coffee to die for and zombie approved. It's good to get a little deadly. Use the front door! Oh, they're so disgusting.
It's pizza time.
And now, in a segment that we call Pizza Time, where we discuss any Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle or pizza-related food, I give you Pizza Time. All right, everybody, let's talk about the secret of the ooze smoothie, which will be your pizza time today. They say, don't worry, there's no mutagen in this neon green smoothie. But if you start your day with a glass packed with nutritious banana, apple, and spinach, you might just discover your own ninja power. Kapow! Ingredients: 4 ice cubes, 1 cup plain unsweetened almond milk, 2 tablespoons natural peanut or almond butter, 1 banana broken in half, 1 medium sweet apple cored and sliced, 2 handfuls of baby spinach. Instructions: combine the ingredients in a blender. Blend them all together until the mixture is smooth and uniform in color. Pour into glasses and enjoy. Did you know, bro? In Naples, Italy in 2016, 100 chefs joined forces to break the Guinness World Record for the longest pizza ever made. The pizza was more than 1 mile long and was made using 4,409 pounds of flour, 3,527 pounds of tomatoes, 4,409 pounds of cheese, and 211 quarts of olive oil. That's one big pizza. And that has been your pizza time for the day. Green ooze smoothie. Cowabunga, dudes! Thank you for listening to the Epic Tales from the Sewers podcast. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles were created by Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird. This podcast has no affiliation with Eastman, Laird, Mirage Studios, IDW Studios, Archie Comics, or Nickelodeon Studios. This podcast is a member of the Dorkening Podcast Network. Check out thedorkening.com for other podcasts. Epic Tales from the Sewers is recorded by Justin Cooper and Eric Will. Hello, intrepid listeners. This is the Generation Playlist Podcast, a podcast about music where we are your guides through a particular group or artist.
We talk about the music, and then we make a customized playlist to share with you, our listeners. And you can check us out wherever you listen to podcasts and find our playlists on Spotify.
It took me 10 years to make the perfect man cave.
And then we took it over. And we made it into the multiversal chamber.
Then I started my own podcast.
And we took that over too. And we're the co-hosts, the Multiverse Kids.
Yeah, and I'm the dad, the geeky dad. And every week, we what?
We review the movies, shows, and books, games, and toys.
Yeah, and sometimes we even have a special guest. So, join us every week on the Geeky Dad Podcast.
Greetings and shabibans. We are the Retro Reductibus Cephala Podcast, a long-form bi-weekly show that celebrates all the things that made growing up awesome.
Well, that sounds good, but I don't know what all those words mean.
I think what Parasite Seed's trying to say is that on Retro Redoctopus, we explore a range of retro goodness, from toys, video games, and movies, to cartoons, and even snacks and school lunches.
Oh.
And we do it all with a positive spin, a slew of killer guests, and some very adult language.
And you know what else is cool?
No.
This crazy show is part of the Dorking Podcast Network with new episodes every Technical Tuesday.
What's that?
And if waiting 2 weeks for a new episode gives you a sad, know that we drop bonus episodes all the time, like the off-format Crow's Nest and an interview series we call The Brick.
You can listen to Retro Octopus on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or any app that's cool enough to carry the only show that celebrates all the things that make growing up awesome.